Today we have a guest again, Nina Kamara. Nina is a writer. Nina is a writer. You have seen her here on this channel before. But Nina also writes for Afropean.com, and she did the interview with me for Afropean.com. Nina, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit more before we start?
Yeah, well, thank you, Monika. Okay, so hello, my name is Nina Kamara, and I'm a writer. I write for different purposes. So one, it's culture seeking, which is my favorite. I'm focused on stories which are related to Afro-European background. I'm particularly fascinated by Afro-European, but also mixed race history, because I think there are many interesting and powerful stories and lessons that we can take from there.
Sorry to interrupt. When you say Afropean, do you
Yeah.
mean biracial Afropean as African and European ancestry, or not necessarily?
So what I mean, I base this on my own heritage. So Afropean, from my perspective, is somebody who is of a mixed African and European heritage. So these
Right.
kind of Afropean stories. But I do understand that this term can mean different things to different people, and I'm completely
Right.
fine with that. So my intention is not to, exclude anyone. It's just that I focus on the group of people that I belong to, the group of
That's
those
right.
Afropeans I belong to
Yeah.
make it clear.
Cool. Thank you. So continue. Sorry, I interrupted just to distinguish, because this is what the conversation is going to be
Yeah.
about, right? About mixed race Afropeans specifically.
Yeah. And apart from that, I would describe myself as somebody who likes adventure, and I like learning. I believe that we should always be exploring, the world around us, and try to be part of the change, of the cultural change.
You didn't say you are Afropean in what way?
My European side is Eastern European, or Slovak, and by my African side is Guinean. So Slovak and Guinean
Yeah,
Slovak, what have you. But yeah, this is the mix.
exactly. I thought it's important to mention because, again, location does matter. Even when you're mixed race, there are different experiences connected to different locations. But it's just a cool combination
Yeah.
as well, I think. Mine is, I guess, well, similar, African and European, Polish, Nigerian. I am a writer as well, a book publisher, book editor, and we will be talking about many things related to our mixed race Afropean identities. So, who goes first? Nina, would you like to start on how your creative identity was shaped by leaving your predominantly Caucasian motherland, traveling Europe, living in London?
As many writers, I was a voracious reader. I love
Okay.
books. Ever since I was a little kid, I was a regular at my local library. I started to first dictate short stories because I couldn't write, and then when I could write, I would write short stories and poems and whatnot myself. But they were never about my mixed race identity. They're just like written from a viewpoint of a child, and then fairy tales, just purely from my imagination. And
But let me ask you
yeah,
this, sorry to interrupt. What did your protagonists look like in those stories?
well, actually, one that I drew, and it was the first and probably the last time I tried to illustrate something. So it was like a white girl.
This is exactly what happens. Like, you grew up in Slovakia, you were surrounded by white people, and you didn't
Mm,
even think to make your protagonist look like you. And I had the same
no.
situation with my young black, not mixed race, but black British author. She didn't know what her protagonist should look like. And the best friend of the protagonist was a white girl with blonde hair and blue eyes. And it's
Mm-hmm.
heartbreaking because this is her own book. Like in your case, these were your books, and yet, you know, you didn't feel like it was okay, or you didn't even think of making your protagonist look like you. How crazy is that?
Yeah, it's because, I never saw anybody who looked like me. And just so for me, like if somebody said a little girl, I would imagine girls that I saw,
Right.
because
But not
I
in
would
the
only
mirror.
see yeah, I would only see girls looking like me if I looked into the mirror, and like you don't go down the street, with like many mirrors. So
I
you just
know,
see all
I
these other
know.
people. So
And in the
it's
books,
kind
I
of,
guess, in Slovakia, what you saw were protagonists who looked like those girls, blonde, blue eyes, not like you,
yes,
right?
or Roma people. Those were the
Oh,
only people of
really?
color
Interesting.
that you would see. But those books about Roma people, even though they are historic minority here, are very
Yeah,
rare. That's a whole nother conversation. But
interesting.
yeah, uh, other people of color in literature, I never saw them. Definitely not in anything for children. The only time I would see people of color, it was on TV. So, for example, we would watch like Cosby Show. So this is my favorite because like even my family was like, "It's a Cosby Show. You'll see, and you look like Rudy," and so
So that was American
that's what I
shows.
had.
None of
I
them Eastern
know,
European, none of them Slovakian.
no,
Amazing. Wow.
absolutely not, and it's like this to this day. I mean, we have no representation
Of
here. So
course, of course, no, that's true. I mean, I don't necessarily blame Slovakia or Poland as much, but when this happens in a place like London or the UK, which it
mm,
does happen a lot, then there is a problem.
no,
I'll allow you to talk because it's just that I just really wanted to know what your protagonist looked like.
no problem. Yeah, it's an interesting question. I actually came to Birmingham first, and I was there as a childminder. This was very popular back in the day in
Okay.
Slovakia. It was like one of the easiest options that the young person could use to go abroad and like see the world. So that was my motivation in the beginning, to basically see something which is bigger and more interesting, and I loved to meet people different than me. So
Mm.
Birmingham was the place to be because it's the second largest city in the UK, and it's a melting pot as well.
Hmm.
Although it has a very troubled past, as I learned much later. I spent there about 9 months as a child mentor, and then I moved to Scotland, to Edinburgh. So Scotland was a lot less multicultural,
I was
but
going to ask that. Mhm.
yeah. But I was there at a time when it started to change, and there were many African students, and there came like my awakenings with regards to like where I was at with regards to my uh, my uh, self-perception and my relationship to like the black side of my identity, which was it was non-existent really,
Wow.
because there was nobody in Slovakia who was black. But the impact that this had on my creative journey was that I realized that there is basically like a big part of my identity which is there, but which is completely unexplored, and it's strange because there's missing parts. It's like the feeling of like a missing part.
But just
And
to clarify,
to,
sorry to
yeah,
interrupt, just to clarify, just like me, you grew up without your dad, right? So it
yeah,
was just you and your mom in
I met
Slovakia.
him sporadically. There was a big distance and it wasn't ideal. So I mean,
So it was you and your
the
mom
only yeah, and then like the
and your
only
Slovakian
kind of
family.
the only thing that I had like from Africa was African music that he left behind. Caucasian
A hundred
upbringing.
percent
I mean,
Caucasian upbringing. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
just
But uh, it has its pros and cons, and
yeah.
looking back, no culture is perfect.
No.
Back in if you grow up if you're in this environment and you look at cultures like British culture or American culture, you just they know how to promote themselves,
Hmm.
and they show you the good things. But when you learn about the history and when you learn about the intricacies of those
Yeah,
cultures, you can see that
there's
these
more.
cultures are, yeah, there's more. There's a bigger picture, which is
Yeah,
sometimes not so
that's pretty.
glamorous and positive at all.
So help
Mental.
me understand what happened. How did you start getting involved in, because obviously you write for Afropean.com.
Yeah.
You also are a host of a mixed race group, meetup type of thing, right? and you
Yes.
do get involved. I remember the first time I saw your beautiful face was on the mixed race art wall. Do you remember? I'm not sure if you were the face of mixed race faces at the time.
I know that there was an article about the project in the Guardian,
That too.
and that there was some kind of exhibition. So maybe that's the
Hmm.
exhibition one. And
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
I
the
didn't
one.
see that.
That's the exhibition that I'm talking about.
Right.
The exhibition is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But tell me, so how did you then venture into that world? Was that you trying to balance your Caucasian experience with the Afro experience right now, or what? How did you do that? How did you transition?
I left Scotland after my
Okay.
studies, and I decided to go back to Slovakia. Whilst living there, I found, that after some time in this multicultural environment, when I came back to the monocultural environment, I really could still function there,
But
but
it
it
wasn't,
just felt different.
it was the same with me. I couldn't after
Yeah,
London.
I just felt that, like, my God, like, now I can see, like, where I am, because you no longer see that country as a child. You see it as an adult, and you
And
see
because
what
now
it.
you know what you didn't know before, like you cannot
Yeah,
miss what you don't know, right? But once you have
absolutely. Yeah,
seen another level or once you've seen something different, now you know that it's out
yeah,
there.
absolutely. Now you can see, like, how a person of what is it like to be a person of color in an
Mm,
environment which is for people of color as well, inclusive. I just realized what it was like, and so it was all right for me for like a number of years. But then, like, as every country is, Slack is also changing, and these
hmm
days, this was the time when it was starting to become really conservative.
hmm
And I just felt that it was time to leave. I always know where to leave.
hmm
And
That's
but yeah, so I left it with the aim to go to London because I wanted to really experience them. What is it like to be in such a city? Because Slovaks, I mostly talk in a negative way about places like London, and one of the things that
okay.
bothers them big time is that it's multicultural, and there are all
Right.
kind of stereotypes about it, mostly negative. But like me being this curious person I've always been, I was
Hmm
just like, yeah, actually I just want to see what is it like. And also another reason, which was now clear in my mind, was that you know I want to see a place. I want to see how, like, people of color and black people, like, live, like,
hmm
what is it really like. Is it so, like,
what is
negative?
it like to be
Everybody's
black?
saying, yeah, what is it like to be, yeah, to be black, and how do these different cultures interact.
Hmm
I just wanted to really get, like, the real experience,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was life changing
I
in
keep
many
smiling
ways.
because it's like the exact same process in my head that was happening, like,
All right.
between Poland and London specifically, Yeah. The first time
Yeah.
that I came for like 3 weeks, but then, and I was so overwhelmed by everything, by the whole, hustle and bustle.
Hmm.
London is loud. And, like you said, Poland, just like Slovakia, is reserved and like more quiet, more calm,
Yeah.
right? But when you come to London, it's like noise, everybody's so outgoing, not just Africans, but like even, especially the Black British community, outgoing, loud, confident, like in your face and stuff like that. So initially when I came, I was super overwhelmed and I just wanted to run back to Poland. I didn't want to be here because it was just too much. Like,
Oh,
so many, yeah,
interesting.
so much stimuli and stuff. But so then I went back. I was still at uni. I was studying and back in Poland. So I went back. The moment I landed, I think in Poland, I already knew that I'd be back in London very, very soon because I knew I could not stay. Really weird. So initially when I came, it was a lot, like very overwhelming. But then when I went back to Poland, I knew that was it. I had been changed and I could not
Hmm.
stay in Poland.
Hmm. Oh, this is really interesting because, like, since I was a little kid, I knew that I would leave one day, and,
Right.
like,
I didn't.
I had this, like, inner urge, just like, yeah, I should just go. Like, this is not a place for me. I need to go. And I feel like it wasn't terrible working, like, growing up in Slovakia, but it's just like, when you do not belong somewhere because you
Yeah.
don't see yourself, even as a little child, even if nobody tells you. You
Yeah.
just see it, there are no faces like yours on TV, in books. People treat you as a stranger. You're treated as this exotic girl, and they don't mean any harm. But who
No.
is exotic? Who is
But it
exotic? The
gets
person who
tiring.
doesn't fit
It just
in.
gets tiring when you are always the center of
Yeah.
attention, when you show up in a new environment.
And
And
for them, it's
they,
like a little game, For them, it's like
yeah,
a little game, but it's actually for you, for the receivers, and it can be very painful, depending on how people talk about it. And there's just like nothing to sort of support you, really,
yeah,
support your healthy growth as a person. So yeah, I always knew that this is not my end game, definitely.
right.
Uh, but yeah, then when so and these experiences I had at uni in Scotland, they were like the catalyst. Then
Hmm.
Slovakia, when I came back, was like, okay, this is confirmed. Like this is not where I want to live. And then I went to London, and that was just like a place to be for me. And
Yeah,
this is where I became the Afro-European person.
I'm with you 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, because and but you know this was not like just like given to me, because I realized that even in such environment, like, you kind of have to work to like develop this your identity. Because even in London, which was quite disappointing for me at the time, was that there were not that many resources for
Yeah.
mixed race people. You just heard a statistic. Yeah, it's like, oh, we have the fastest growing number of mixed race population in Europe, and that was to like promote the city.
Yeah.
But beyond that,
There was not
the
much.
official institutions didn't do much, and I was quite startled by it. Because yeah, as I said, these countries, they're very good at promoting themselves. So
Hmm.
if you don't know them, you expect something a bit different. But anyway, there was something, but you had to look for it, right?
Yeah.
So, with regards to my creativity, this is where the creativity came
Begins.
really like came to play. I just started to look for like meetup groups.
Was it mixed
Hmm.
race meetup groups?
Yeah,
It's
I
interesting
found
because for
one.
me, I was looking for Black people and Africans as if, having all that Caucasian uploads, now I had to
Yeah.
balance with proper African Black experience. That was me
Okay.
initially. Like I still had mixed race influences, absolutely, don't get me wrong, but I
Hmm.
found myself in the African and African diaspora and just, Black British environment initially.
Okay.
Initially, just the balancing act, I guess. That was that in my case.
That's interesting. Well, my approach was that I wanted to find stories similar to mine. And
Right.
stories similar to mine were stories of people who are of mixed background.
Okay.
So
Okay. So a
that's
slightly
how
different
I
approach.
searched. Slightly, yeah. So I
Hmm.
was just like,
Interesting.
I think it's because I was always a different one. So I wanted to finally find somebody who is just like me.
No, but I
The
was also always a different one. But
yeah.
I guess I didn't have a problem with being a different one. I didn't care. I mean, it was kind of annoying when people continued to ask you questions like, "Where are you from? Can I touch your hair? Like, where does your dad
Hmm.
and mom come from?" and stuff like that. You just meet me.
Yeah.
You don't ask my name, but you feel like you can ask me where my parents are from. Like, we don't know each other. Come on. So,
Yeah.
those things were annoying, but
100%.
like, I didn't mind being different. So for me, I thought I was super cool. I mean, just arrogant, I guess. That's the Polish Nigerian. Both cultures are very proud of their national identities, I guess. So I was that. I was proud. I was happy to be a Polish Nigerian. It was super cool as far as I'm concerned, even if everybody in Poland is just Polish, I was Nigerian as well. So it's great, you know? So I guess that's why when I came to London, I wanted to explore that West African side of me, right? Because I've
Okay.
already explored the Caucasian as much as I could have. So now it's time to balance it with the other side of me. Yeah.
I think I was experiencing also this like othering, and I also had the
Sorry
other,
about that.
I also had the positive, like the, exotification, we would call, well, so it's not really positive, but,
I hear you.
is this pottery positive othering I had as well. But I just felt like, it just makes you feel odd. So I wanted to feel
Yeah.
normal, which is why I was looking for people who were like identical with me. So and I think that in my case it was exactly what I needed, because now I know that if you're mixed, and you even in the Black diaspora, you can come across similar negative patterns of behavior.
Yeah.
They have different motivations, but they are there. So
Mhm.
this was like the, I think my gut feeling was right. This was definitely a good choice for me to just go with, like, I'm a person from a mixed race background, black and white. I want to find another
Let me find
person like
other.
that, and I
No,
want to
that's
talk
so
to them.
cool. That's so cool. I guess for me, like I think I'm maybe a little bit more extreme, maybe not. I'm not sure. But also, I did experience the othering as well. Totally. It's just that again, I don't know whether it's the Nigerian side of me or something. I don't know if you know any Nigerians, but Nigerians are like they don't care, like literally don't care. You know,
A few.
they just do their thing, and whatever you think, whatever you do, whatever you say is really your problem. They may confront you, they will confront you, right? But once they've confronted you, they move on. Like they just don't care. They are so focused on their own experience. They are so focused on their own and so proud of being who they are that they just don't bother with people not understanding, you know? So maybe that's what it is with me a little bit as well. Maybe not. I'm not sure. But I just, despite experiencing the othering as well, especially from the Black culture, from the Black people, I definitely had that. You know, I would just remove myself from those who didn't appreciate who I was and just hang out with those who did, you know?
Oh, fair enough, absolutely. And in that group, it was basically that was like a meetup group, and they also had a WhatsApp group, which one of the
Mm-hmm.
members founded. So I joined that for a while, and there, like, people shared so much information. And this is a common feature at, like, all these mixed race meetups. We share information all the time,
Information. Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you don't look at it afterwards. I think everybody's guilty of it, but it's just
So
like this
information
excitement of
overload, mixed race
yeah.
information
Oh,
overload.
absolutely. That's coming for you. I mean, they're
Yeah,
inevitable.
yeah, yeah.
But it's just this, like, the sheer joy of, like, learning that, oh my God, there's so much stuff out there in terms of culture that I can
Mm,
discover, I can learn from, and so that was what sparked my creativity. And I noticed also Black diaspora in UK was very inspiring, because they have built a platform for themselves, and
yeah.
it's a brilliant platform that they've done. They have, I mean, the amount of community activism that they've done in the UK. If this was done by other community, there would be, like, stories upon stories written and told about them.
Mm.
But with the Black diaspora, they are not so celebrated, unfortunately. But if you are interested, if you seek this out, it's amazing what they've done.
On that note, if I can just interject, you know, I actually after I had started writing, I then was writing for some of those publications. Like there was one in particular, Black Heritage Today. So the editor was British Jamaican, and she was really passionate about highlighting that, you know, the Black history and the Black individuals who were excelling. So I started writing for her for that magazine and for a few others as well, you know, magazines and newspapers. And for me, that was how I was exploring that Black history, you know, because again, you know, back in Poland, just like in Slovakia, there was no Black history, no diversity, no Black
Mhm.
history whatsoever. All history is 100% Caucasian, or,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So,
and Eurocentric.
and Eurocentric, exactly.
Mm.
Yeah. So for me, I started writing for those Black publications, you know, the ones that you are just talking about right now. And that was for me an opportunity to learn. So she would give me a feature to write eventually. You know, initially I was writing other pieces, but then sometimes I would write features as well. She would tell me what to write about. And then obviously I didn't know where to search. So she would tell me what she wanted for her magazine. So then once she gave me the topic, then I would go research and I would go write and submit it to her. So or other, you know, editors. So that was how I learned a lot when it came to the Black history, you know, Black European history.
Mm. No,
Yeah.
yeah, that must have been amazing, like doing what you love, like you.
Yeah. I
I'd
mean,
learn in my free time.
yeah, I mean, it was really, really good, and it just all blended nicely together, you know. So yeah, that was me. Again, it was more on the Black history side, balancing that Caucasian experience. Then, you know, it is only now, or maybe for the past 2 years or something like that, 3 years, that I'm exploring the mixed raceness more. I guess everything has been balanced more or less. So now I can just, you know, be in the middle, mixed race. You know, I was
Yeah.
white Polish, I was Black African. You know, I'm laughing, right? So now I can be
Mhm.
mixed race, which is what I am, right?
Yeah, no, I totally understand. And I mean, like, it's not laughable. It's the result of your environment, really.
Mm-hmm.
You have no other options in
Absolutely.
places like Poland and Slovakia, particularly because they're very particular and they can be very rigid about
Mm-hmm.
their culture. I can see
Mm-hmm.
that now that I'm spending some time in Slovakia again, before my next move.
Before
And
before you
uh,
escape.
but yeah, they're culturally very rigid. It's not easy to be minority here at all, and not
Right.
just when it comes to color, but also other things. But anyway, that's another conversation.